So today's story has a character in it that's from France. So I thought we'd do a little bit of a chat about France and specifically something very interesting that is in France. So if you're watching this from the UK, then France is our neighbour. So it's a really close country to us. If you look at where we are here, and France is just here. So it's really, really close. The capital city of France is called Paris. And in Paris, there is a very unique, which here means individual, the only one, a very unique monument, and that is called the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was built in 1889, and it took 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days. And a man from England went and saw it. And he was the mayor of a place called Blackpool. Blackpool is a city in the north. And the mayor went over, he saw the Eiffel Tower and he thought, oh my goodness, I love it! I want one of those in Blackpool. So he came back and commissioned, which means ordered, one to be built straight away. And so there's a little tower in Blackpool. It's actually quite a big tower. It's called the Blackpool Tower, and it is a replica, a copy of the Eiffel Tower. And that was built 5 years later. Now the Eiffel Tower in Paris, in France, is 324 metres tall. That is the same as 15 giraffes standing on top of each other. That's a lot of giraffes. And that is a tall tower. Now the tower gets painted every 7 years and it takes 15 months, that's over a year, to paint the whole thing. It's got its own special colour of paint and it's called Eiffel Tower Brown. And it's actually 3 different colours. The top section, the middle section and the bottom section are all a slightly different shade. It's a little bit lighter and a little bit darker. Fancy that, huh? And the other thing I'm going to tell you is that if you would like your own Eiffel Tower, then Lego make one. So it will take you a long time to build though. Maybe about the same amount of time because it is 3,428 bricks. That's a lot of bricks. Okay, now I think we're ready to read our story. Today's story is Albert LeBlanc, and it is by Nick Butterworth. There are some lovely pictures here, so are you ready? Get your teddy and snuggle down. This is Albert LeBlanc. This is Albert LeBlanc. Even from the back, he looks sad. His head hangs low, his shoulders are hunched, his arms flop loosely by his side. From the front, Albert LeBlanc looks very sad indeed. He has the saddest eyes you ever saw, which is strange, because Albert LeBlanc... But wait, let me tell this story from the very beginning. When Albert LeBlanc first appeared, sitting all by himself in Mr. Jolly's toy shop, the other toys could only stare. He did look so sad. Poor love, said Sally the hippo. We must try and cheer him up. You could do your funny dancing, said Toby the cat. That would make him laugh. My dancing is not funny, said Sally. It is beautiful and artistic. The other toys looked at each other and tried not to smile. I know a joke, said a little mouse called Pickle, but I can't remember the funny bit at the end. Everyone agreed that this could make the joke a lot less funny. It might even make it not funny at all. Pickle flopped down and stared at the floor. It was then that Jack-in-a-Box, who at this moment was not in his box, had an idea. Why don't we all try very hard to think of something happy and funny? Something to cheer up a very sad bear. And then we could put all our things together and make a show. It was a good idea. Everybody thought so. At first, the toys sat quietly thinking. What could they say? What could they do? Something happy, something funny. Morris, the steam engine, let off a little steam as he tried to think. Lizzie, the humming top, hummed to herself as she thought. I remembered my joke, squeaked Pickle suddenly. Shush, dear, said Sally. I'm getting an idea. All at once, it seemed that the other toys were getting ideas too. Toby began to snigger, and Jack-in-a-Box started to chuckle. Sally began to titter and went off to borrow a hat and to find some face paints. Albert LeBlanc watched from where he was sitting as the toys became very busy. What was going on? What were they up to? Albert LeBlanc did not have to wait very long to find out. Sally was the first to introduce herself. "Good evening," she said with a bow. "I am Sally, hippopotamus and ballerina. This evening, we, the toys of Mr. Jolly's toy shop, will present a happy and entertaining treat, especially to cheer, amuse and tickle the funny bone of a very sad bear." Albert LeBlanc looked puzzled. "I am very pleased to meet you," he said. "My name is Albert LeBlanc. I am from France, but please, let me say, you must not think that I am—" But Albert LeBlanc was not allowed to say. "Silence, please, for Miss Pickle!" The hippopotamus boomed loudly. Pickle came and stood nervously in front of the large, sad-looking bear. She shuffled her feet and cleared her throat, but no words came. Whatever Pickle had remembered earlier, she had suddenly forgotten again. "I can't remember my joke," she said, and she flopped down again and stared at the floor. "Never mind," said Albert kindly. "I am sure it was very funny, and you really must not think that I am—" But at that moment, with a twang and a zing, Jack-in-a-Box sprang out of his box. He bounced up and down in front of Albert LeBlanc, and as he did, he began to sing. "I bounce with a boing, I bounce with a poing, and while I am bouncing, I'm singing this song." "Be careful, dear," said Sally, but Jack was enjoying himself. He bounced even higher. "I like to bounce high as the sky. Sometimes when I'm bouncing, I'm sure I could—" Whoa, thump! Poor Jack. He bounced so high, he bumped his head on a shelf. He fell in a tangled heap in front of Albert. "Slight technical problem," mumbled Jack, as he tried to untie the knot which he had accidentally tied in his long body. Albert hid his face in his paws. "Please do not worry," he said. "You really must not think that I am—" Once again, Sally did not let him finish. To Albert's amazement, she leapt out in front of him, wearing a yellow pointed hat and a big, red, face-painted smile. Of course, Sally did mean to be funny, but she didn't mean to slip or slide, and she most certainly didn't mean to crash into Albert LeBlanc. But that is just what Sally did. Together, the bear and the hippopotamus landed in a confused heap. From underneath Sally, Albert LeBlanc let out a great roar. "Please," he shouted, "I keep trying to tell you, I am not unhappy." There was silence. As Sally and Albert struggled to get up, Albert went on. "I am not sad at all. It is just the way I am made. I just happen to have a sad look on my face." "Oh, no, you don't," interrupted Toby the cat. "Not anymore." Suddenly, everyone saw that Albert LeBlanc was wearing a great, big, red smile. It was Sally's smile. The toys began to giggle. "Oh, silly me," said Sally. "I'm so sorry. I must have kissed you by mistake." The toys giggled even more, and some of them laughed out loud. But now, what was happening to Albert LeBlanc? He began to shake, and he grabbed hold of his tummy. His shoulders started to heave up and down. His nose wrinkled up, and his sad eyes almost disappeared. Then, to everyone's great surprise, Albert LeBlanc roared out the funniest and the loudest laugh any of the toys had ever heard. "Hee hee 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 hee!" Albert's enormous laugh made everyone else laugh even more. "Hee hee 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 hee!" At last, Jack-in-a-Box managed to speak. "Well," he giggled, "who would have thought that a little kiss could put such a big smile on someone's face?" Everybody laughed again. But the biggest, deepest, loudest, and the funniest laugh of all came from a sad-looking bear called Albert LeBlanc. Hee. And that is the end of the story. So there you go. Albert Leblanc wasn't sad at all. So that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like these stories, don't forget to click subscribe and like the Facebook page. And that's it from me. Night.